Trust Company, Trust Number 4078, located at 400 West 87th Avenue. Request a preliminary planned unit development approval in a R5 medium-density multifamily residential zoning district on 17.15 acres. The purpose, a luxury multifamily residential development. Okay, give us your program.
Sounds good. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
And
My name
introduce yourselves.
Yep, my name is Jeff Ban. I'm Principal Co-Chairman of DVG Team at 1155 Troutline Road in Crown Point. To my left is Austin Carmody. Austin's a Senior Vice President with the Kendall Property Group and is the one responsible for the development of this project. And to Austin's left is Greg Lorig, a Senior Project Manager and Engineer for DVG Team as well. And he's going to be making sure that all the details of the plans are meeting the city's or the town's subdivision ordinance and site development ordinances. So in any event, we were here 2 weeks ago, as you may recall, kind of formally doing a concept plan. I made a presentation then, and 2 months prior to that, we did in another workshop meeting, gave you the same presentation. I don't intend to bore you again to give you the third of the same presentation. So I would like to have this more of a dialogue. This is a workshop. We are scheduled for a public hearing for the plan unit development zoning application on November 18th, 2 weeks from tonight. And we have made a lot of submittals of documents to you. And to the point I made just before the start of the meeting to Sean, we were trying to confuse him. So the things we submitted, I'm going to go through a litany of things that you are being confused by. Number one is the application, of course. You should have a site plan document. You should have a landscape plan. In your packet was an existing conditions and topographic survey, a utility plan that addressed only storm sewer, and a utility plan that addressed the water and sanitary sewer
Bless you.
lines. In your packet also was included a traffic analysis, a wetland delineation report, a soil boring report, a management agreement that talks about how this property is going to be managed once it's up and running and developed. You should have building floor plans for the two different building types, building 1 and building 2. There should be building elevations showing the architectural look and the materials, and building heights for the two buildings, for building 1 and building 2. There's also a unit. There's multiple types of units in these buildings. There's a unit mix schedule. We also included a project schedule about when hopefully we'll get our permits and when we intend to start construction. And then there is also a boundary survey exhibit. So there are about 15 documents that were part of our submittal. We have started our meetings with your staff. We met with your Public Works Director, your Town Engineer, and Stormwater Director earlier this week. We are scheduled to meet the MCD people later this week, as well as the water company. And most particular, this is Councilman Bella's district. We are working and have been dialoguing with him over the last couple of days about getting together to kind of sit down with him to show him what's going on in his district, as well as his need for and his desire to have kind of this wetland area that's on this property, the existing stormwater pond that's serving this property and the neighboring neighborhoods, to try to activate it, make it more action-like, have the population in this neighborhood be able to experience the wetland, walk around the wetland, identify types of plants and other vegetation, as well as insects and birds and the like. So we're going to be meeting with him over the coming weeks to really kind of come up with that park plan around that pond. So I guess, again, as I indicated to you, 210 units, 17.15 acres. It's been a project that's been undeveloped for over 30 years. It was previously approved by this plan commission, not you individually, but this board approved it as a PUD for a different type of housing unit. That never got executed, and we're here tonight to have a dialogue with you about the details that we submitted and answer any questions. And with that, Austin, would you like to add anything to that?
We just appreciate your consideration on this development, and I'm here to answer any questions. It's going to be a fantastic project for the community. We're ready to keep continuing with the plan process and submit any additional information that you would require, and I am here just to be supportive of Jeff, and as we push through our development team to get to the permitting phase of the development, which would hopefully be around this spring is our plan to break ground. And I could just open it up if you'd like to ask any questions, I'd happy to answer.
Well, we'll start with our board. Jeff's like, you have questions or comments?
Yes, it sounds like you're all set, ready to go. What's the total cost of this project?
See, last time you asked that question 2 weeks ago, I said $36 to $38 million, and
Okay.
that as the project plans get more formalized, that number will get more formalized, but.
Yeah, I'll give you an exact number
Okay.
here. Let's see where my. So we've got total development cost is $40,870,000.
Great, sounds good.
40 million. Very good economy. Anything else, Jeff?
No, that's all.
Okay, Leona, what do you have?
I think it's going to be a wonderful project, and Mr. Jeff has already asked my question.
Sure. Okay, Brian?
Great project. Plenty of information to ponder.
Yes.
I'll read it more as we get closer to the meeting in 2 weeks. The pond looks great, the wetland delineation looks great, that was one of the first things I looked at. I'm still, Jeff, dubious about the whole trash compactor
We
situation.
have answers for you tonight. Right? That was Austin's homework assignment, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
let him.
The biggest problem that I see with it is the distance. I'm, let's say, a 70-year-old man living in your apartment complex, and my unit's up by the entrance. How am I gonna drag a 38-gallon garbage bag, or even a small garbage bag, from that front entrance all the way to the back to get to the trash compactor when there's a foot, 2 foot of snow on the ground? Or it's 30 below wind chill when the hawk comes off Lake Michigan. We get a really bad blow in Merrillville, because
Sure.
it comes straight down Lake Michigan, runs through Gary, runs past us, all the way down to South County, and it gets cold. Where are they gonna put it? Are they gonna put it in the trunk of their car and drive it over there? Are they gonna put it in their garage, in a garbage can, and let the garage stink up before they get a little break and some sunshine and they're able to take it to that trash compactor? I just don't see it. You know, it's the only real complaint I've got about this thing.
Yeah, no, it's a fair comment. Well, I'll just start with Michigan. I mean, a substantial portion of our portfolio is in the Grand Rapids area in Holland, Michigan. Holland's probably the closest comparable location from drive-wise, and those are all central located trash compactors. And yeah, I mean, that would be the most efficient way, is put it in the car and drive it through. And it's set up that way so you can swing through. I also did go through this conversation with management, and it's just functionality. Multiple trash bins are problematic. They damage the property. They're hard to take care of. They can be ugly. And the preference, actually, the comment was, we haven't done one like that, you know, in I think she said 50 years, but that was a very long time. The preference is centralized trash. I did take a peek in my comp survey of the community. I looked at a couple of the comps that, you know, have centralized trash. It's the way to go. We are looking at a potential in the portfolio for next year of a valet-type trash service. That'll be I wouldn't say it's something we're gonna for sure do, but we may consider. But that also some residents don't like that because there's an additional cost to that. Yeah, what we just do see a lot of is people put it in their trunk and driving it through on their way out of the property.
And I think to your concern that they're gonna have it by their front door or their porch, or have it sit in their garage for a couple of weeks until the weather changes. There are in the tenant agreement, they can't cause nuisances. And if you have so many nuisances that you've created for your neighbors, there is grounds for eviction. So there is enforcement in their documentation that provides for the opportunity to make sure that everybody's taking care of their trash.
Well, you know, and I can understand that, and I can appreciate that, but if all of a sudden half the building says, man, it's just too cold, or I don't want that drippy garbage in the
In my
back
car.
of my car. You know, I sure as heck wouldn't want to put half of my garbage in in my car. You know, I just, like I say, I see issues with it.
I think the one thing too, it appears that from our site visits of some of the existing neighborhoods that have been recently built, I believe Nouveau Flats has a trash
I'm
compactor.
sorry, where?
Nouveau Flats, just the south side of Broadway Methodist Hospital. And I think Brookshire is a similar
Right.
development that only has a trash compactor. So I don't know that there's been complaints, I've not heard that, but listen, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Oh, I
And
understand.
we're trying to validate to see whether or not that's a concern that we should have. And in other neighborhoods in the Michigan area and throughout Indiana that the property group has, they have trash compaction systems like we're proposing here, and they have not problems with it. So that's the only thing I can tell you is our experience that we've had.
John, Brookshire's in your ward,
It's in Rick's.
Oh, it's in Rick's, okay.
Nouveau Flats is in my ward, north of the
Okay. Have we ever
Broadfield
heard of
townhomes.
any
Remember,
kind of-
they came in and reduced the number of units,
Right,
Edward Rose.
right,
They're both built by Edward Rose, as is Mallard Bay.
right. Have we seen any issues with central trash compaction and stuff starting to?
I haven't heard anything, I don't know if Rick's heard anything about Berkshire. Nouveau Flats, I don't think, they're not done, they don't have
They're not
occupancy
done,
yet.
no.
And obviously, this is not a deal breaker. I mean, I
I
love
understand
your
that.
project.
And we want to satisfy your concerns.
Right.
So,
Sure.
I
we're
understand.
trying to figure out what that is.
And of course, in the large pond, I understand, you know, you've got your wetlands, et cetera, but I really would like to see that, you know, really cleaned up. Put the, water movers in there, some kind of fountain system to keep the green water. I know my folks were in the, nursing home there for, a few months, before they passed away, and, you look out the window and all, in the summertime and all you see is green water. I mean, it's a pretty mucky, situation, but it can be fixed. It's not a horrible fix, but it has to be fixed sooner or later, you know.
Part of the dialogue we had with Matt Lake
Okay.
earlier this week.
Yeah.
And looking at
Lot
an
of
aerial
native
photo, there's this little
species.
hole in the donut that is, so
Right,
your point's well
but yeah,
taken.
as long as, with your landscape plan, put in a lot of native species, a lot of stuff, for instance, from JF New or Possibility Place, one of those places that, you know, put in stuff native to the area. One, it lowers your maintenance costs. Two, it's not invasive. And three, it really does promote a sense of a wilderness area while not, you know, making it the Hoosier Prairie, you know?
And I want to respect all what you're saying, and we want to do what you want to do, and I think Rick Bell's got some ideas. And the one gentleman I did not introduce as part of our team, he's not paying attention right now, but his name is Cliff Fleming. Cliff is the owner of the property and has been for the last 30-plus years. Cliff's uncle or father? Cliff's uncle was one of the original incorporators of the town of Merrillville.
Ah, I know that name very well.
Yeah. And Cliff is very sensitive to what this pond is, and he wants to make sure that the dedication of this pond by him to the town reflects all of what you've said and the things that he's got a strong feeling and attitude about, making it a natural nature park is kind of what we're trying to get to.
I want this to be as active as possible. I've done these at Coffee Creek and Sand Creek and down at four of them. There's wetland stuff that you've seen with green water. There's other stuff that can be done that will be beneficial to the residents of the town, to the residents of the complex. And that's what I'm pushing. That's why I'm here.
Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Really appreciate you coming out.
Good.
That's all I have, Madam
You
Chairman.
sure?
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Sean, what do you have?
Not a whole lot, because I've met with Cliff and Steve on a couple occasions on this project. I guess, Jeff, the main entrance is lining up with Madison Street, correct, on the north side?
Exactly right.
All right, and phase one of the old Deerfield, which you alluded to, was built and never finished, is not part of your management agreement.
It is not part on, we worked like crazy. We had attorneys for both buyer and seller in this deal. trying to figure out how to gain access and approval across the Phase 1 area. And it pretty much came to the conclusion, there's an association that really is not active, and nobody's appointed who's in charge of that. And we just could not get somebody to be able to talk to in order to, and then legally have the authority to grant access over that Phase 1 area. So we went with this current plan that shows a secondary exit somewhere between about 140 feet away from the Madison Street, about halfway between Monroe
And Madison, you've got one, and then you've got that. And then I noticed, going to the east toward Broadway, Lot 8 is not part of this development, right?
Lot 8, which is the outlot.
Yeah, the outlot is, I guess, is your pond.
That is correct.
But on the other side of the water, going to
No, that is
Broadway,
not, that is not part of our development. It's owned by somebody different.
completely different.
Completely different.
All right,
Thank you.
all right. Yeah, I don't have anything else, Madam President, right now.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, I see you're estimating the total population of the building, approximately 362 people, correct?
Yes, that's correct,
Well,
based on the
that's,
unit count.
that will be adding to our population if they're brand new. And now on the lighting system, are the hallways in the building, are they all lit up?
Yes.
Yes, you want to talk specific to that?
Yeah, any clubhouse, buildings, interiors, that's all common lighting. Exterior, that's part of the development's lighting package. So that's,
Okay, and you're going to be putting a park in there somewhere?
Yes, there's a couple of areas that are listed in the landscape plan that are called out as park areas. There's an area, that's a park area near the clubhouse, that'll be
Okay.
more active, and then there's a couple of park areas in the 100-foot wide A&R pipeline easement. That's all green, and that'll be kind of for open field play, soccer, lacrosse.
Well, that's good for that ward. So when did you plan on starting to build?
June 1st is on our schedule.
June 1st,
2020,
oh, okay, I'm sorry. I missed
26,
that. Yeah, June 1st, I see it. Construction starts. Well, all I have to say, it looks like you have everything in order, and I think it's a wonderful project, and I wish you luck.
Well, thank you very much. Just from a functional perspective for the public hearing, is we'll be notifying the adjacent property owners by
Sure.
certified mailing. That's going to go out tomorrow. I have never seen your projector screen down. I don't know if that's new, but.
No, it's not new.
So how do I get documents? Because I think from a public perspective, they're going to want to see things. Can I project images in our site plan? And how do I do that?
Yeah.
I've not done this before here.
So just bring your laptop, and then we'll get you, the directions are right up there, how to log on,
Okay?
and we'll get you.
All wireless?
Yeah, we'll get you, yeah, it's all wireless.
Okay.
We're gonna get a gentleman hooked up here pretty soon, hopefully.
Sounds good.
I can get the screen down and I can turn it on, so we'll see.
Steve, that's where I'm at too, so I'll come the day before and we'll practice together.
Well, I think that will be wonderful to
That
view.
would help a lot.
That'll help us looking at it in that perspective. But you did all you had to do, and it looks good, and I wish you luck.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your support.
Sure.
And we look forward to seeing you in another 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Definitely, you will be on our agenda, correct?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending, gentlemen. Okay. Very nice project. Okay, board members, continuing on with our workshop agenda, we have other business. Amended and complete restatement of development agreement, Liberty Estates, which I know we had discussed at our last workshop. And did we bring that up at the meeting too, or just the workshop?
So, Madam President, when individuals call me and say that they want to discuss it, I just put it under discussion because I think it was discussion, but it was found out and told to me that this needs a vote. So I put it back on the agenda so that we can vote on it in 2 weeks,
Good,
okay?
okay.
All right.
tell us what you have.
Good evening, Randy Hall.
Good evening.
From the development. I didn't bring my notes, but there's a package turned in, which is a draft amendment that the town's attorney has looked at and advised me that it's generally in good order. What we're looking to do is amend, not restate, just amend some of the terms of our development agreement to bring us current with some of the things that have changed out there. A couple are cross-references in the documents of the developer agreement, which got kind of thick, and one's a schedule at the end that you'll see there, and that schedule is referencing a color drawing of the different uses. They're on the west side of Liberty, so that was recommended that we just make a cross-reference on that schedule so that it references a zoning app. One thing noted was a general request, as we are in a phased development, to, instead of coming back and forth and possibly having a phase not start when it should, the phases that are adjacent to the road that we're all, well, that I'm participating in, that the town is planning to build, that phase can be deferred physically until that's coordinated. So it's more of an actual just coordination issue, no request for any particular delay or anything. And, the last thing I can recall is Phase 8, which is the next phase we'd like to start. It's a large phase. It would be very similar to what you all have seen out there that we've already built in terms of a mix of product. But with the economy being a little iffy, maybe we can get a break in interest rates. We're requesting an 8A and an 8B, just dividing the phase from one large phase into two phases. And of course, proofs, when we come through, we'll put that demarcation line and everything for your review. So what I hope would be very minor changes, subject to your thoughts. It's all documented in that draft that you have. And because it is an amendment, just out of safety, it was recommended that I come back through the Plan Commission and City Council, so to make sure there were no questions.
Sure. Jeff, questions, comments?
No, not at this time.
Thank you.
Leona?
No questions.
Okay, Brian?
It all looks good, we've
Yeah.
been over it many times.
Thank you.
A lot of it'll have to do with, doing Whitcomb Street, the redo on Whitcomb Street, the rest of it, et cetera. But, yeah, as far as what you're doing, just keep on doing it.
Thank you, sir.
How many residents are actually living in your project now?
That's a good question. You mean in homes, right, instead of individuals?
Right, in the home.
I would say in the rent-to-own section, we have about 30 occupants
Okay,
and about another 20 units coming online in the next 60 days,
how many more?
20, and there's a total of 70. So we're pretty far along in the construction of that section. And by the way, we've already had 2 homeowners convert out of the rent-to-own into ownership, so congrats to them.
Right.
In the single-family, I don't know an exact count, but I'm going to guesstimate about 18 single-family homes. We have 5 models out there physically complete, just started 4 more.
Well, if the state doesn't redistrict on our wards, you are still in Ward 4. That is my ward.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm asking for the population because we will be very busy on election day then. And you have a group of people living there already, which is good. Did you ever ask them if they were registered to vote, or do they register before they come in?
Ma'am, I've never asked that of any of our homeowners, but I'd be happy to cooperate and try and get people signed up if there was
Well,
something
I
I
was
could do.
just curious. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sean, you have
No,
questions?
nothing.
Nothing. Everything looks good otherwise. So you've been here quite a few times, Randy, and we've all went out to see your development, which is a great improvement to Merrillville. I like it. So I think you're okay right now.
Thank you for your time. See you
Thank
later.
you. Sure. Okay, we have another discussion. I think Sean brought this up before, 73rd and I-65 residential development discussion. Sean, do you want to continue on what you brought up to us before?
Well, the owner of the property, Mr. Benjamin, is here, Lawrence Benjamin is here, and we had a staff level meeting. Sheila and I and Angie and Joanna had a Zoom call with he and his partners and the design team about designing a multi-use residential property. And went through and looked at the density, and I suggested that he come to the planning commission to get a barometer from us as to, you know, what our thoughts are, so they don't go too far in the process.
Sure.
Don't go too far in the engineering and spend a lot of money. I will tell you, Mr. Benjamin, that I brought this up to, as I'm president of the redevelopment commission, Margie is on it, Leona's on it, we have two other council members. I did bring this up to them, that down the road, the RDC and the town are going to have to address 73rd Avenue. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, we need to work in conjunction with this developer. If the amount of traffic that they're going to generate is going to be out there, I'm looking, I guess, at my RDC members, we're probably gonna end up having to widen the road between Virginia and Mississippi, including the bridge over I-65, which, as Steve is logging in for him, Steve, what was the cost of 101st Avenue between Mississippi and Georgia? Do you remember back in the day? Give or take 8 million?
Yeah, it was 8 or 9.
I think the bridge itself was 6, and each approach from Georgia to the bridge and Mississippi to the bridge was each about $1.5 million or $1 million. So this is a substantial development. This comes on the heels of what we already physically see at TPL 65 with Crow Holdings that are building the 2 large buildings. And keep in mind, they have a third pad for a 455,000 square foot building, which we are, Angie and I, and we're working on in a perspective to bring a company in to use that entire building. And we're waiting to hear what their decision is going to be, and then Matt Cruz will construct, or Arco Murray will construct that third building out there. So there's going to be a great deal of traffic. We know where we're at. You know, Broadway is 4 or 5 lanes. Mississippi is 4 lanes. 73rd is not. We did some work with the RDC from Broadway to about the cemetery with 3 lanes, and then it tapers down. And of course, the bridge it's not our responsibility, right, Steve? It's really the state of Indiana, but we would have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Well, we have to get an approval from the
Right,
state
we have
of
to get an
Indiana.
approval from the state
before
to
anything
rebuild
is
the
done.
bridge in
Sure.
conjunction with Mr. Benjamin on the northwest quadrant
Okay,
and Matt Cruz on the southeast quadrant with the influx of what we've got out there.
okay.
You know, more than likely, I guess, not in defense of Matt, but just an observation on behalf of Crow Holdings, a lot of that traffic to who he rents those 2 buildings, they're going on to Mississippi. And they're either going north up to 61st Avenue, or they're going south to US 30. The
Okay.
chances of them coming out of that drive that you see being built on 73rd, they're not gonna go back west on 73rd Avenue. That's gonna be highly unlikely. The traffic is going to be generated that we already have, and then expounded by the proposed development by Mr. Benjamin and his partner. So with that, Lawrence, I'll give you the floor, and you've got your computer set up, I think, Steve?
Is it ready?
Password is password. I don't know, I'm kidding. He fell for it, Bob never do.
I thought it comes up.
This is not correct. Password. I don't know what the password is to get it on here.
So, Linda, what's,
It's a shame, we prepared a nice presentation, but we can make it work without it.
I think, Lawrence, they have, Sheila, we have the handouts that we got. We've got the site plan and the site data, don't you
Yeah.
guys?
yeah, I gave them that.
Okay,
I
that's-
gave them what I had.
Primarily what we're, yeah.
I don't know, I'm looking at the satellite view here too.
I don't have Linda's.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you very much for meeting with us. This is our first time here with the Plan Commission, although as the council mentioned, we've met several times before with him and Ms. Shine and Mr. King and others. As he mentioned, I'm one of the owners of the property. I'm with the international law firm of Kroll Mooring. I've been practicing law for nearly 40 years. The developer in this case is Highgates Development, and that's, the principal is Joseph Waldman. I met Mr. Waldman approximately 20 years ago. I was a client, and then he became my friend, and then he became my partner in several projects, although he has a lot more besides what I do with him. I live in Chicago. My wife came with me this evening. Mr. Waldman lives in Toronto. His partner, Brent, lives in Louisville. And although, you know, we come from all over, we're no strangers to Indiana. I think we did our first project together in Hobart almost 20 years ago. We did another project a few years back in New Albany, and we've owned this property since 2011. The site plan and the engineering we've been working on with Manhart Consulting. Originally our intent when we purchased the property, we had in mind multifamily development. And when we pursued that idea, there was a suggestion to look at industrial. And there was a lot of excitement about industrial because Merrillville is ideally situated. It's I-65 and 94. It's the busiest intersection in the country. It's 45 minutes out of the suburbs of Chicago, an hour from downtown Chicago, and it's a business-friendly environment. And we pursued we had a lot of interest. In fact, we were down here with a meeting with one of the developers a few years back exploring the industrial. And then we had a contract with Trammell Crow, and we had a couple site plans. That was for 1 or 2 industrial buildings, and that was going to be about 780 to 840,000 square feet, 1 or 2 buildings, and there'd be access from 73rd Street. There's a small bit of land that's owned by the town, and we had a favorable interest that the town would make that available to have, nice access from 73rd, and there'd be a light and turnabouts and all that. As it happened, Trammell Crow did not get timely assurance of support, and after doing their due diligence, that contract was terminated. We explored lots of other uses, potential uses, besides we looked at solar. We looked at data center, and we came back to where we started, which was residential. And with that, I wanted to introduce Joseph Waldman, and he could tell you a little bit about his company, Highgates.
Hi, my name is Joseph Waldman. I live in Toronto, but I spend probably most of my time between Louisville, Des Moines, and a lot of time in Chicago as well. And I have a project in Texas as well. So right now, this is what we do. We build multifamily. That's our main business. I'm in the middle of building right now around 1,500 apartments. I've built already around 2,500, close to 3,000 over the last few years. And I have another few thousand in the plan, another 2,000 to 2,500 units on the drawing board in different areas. As Larry said, we own this property since 2011. Originally, when we bought it, we were thinking of building single-family, like duplex single-family houses. The market wasn't good at the time, and we didn't do anything. And then, as Larry said, we started talking about this and about that. And what we do best is multifamily. And that's a mixture of apartments, like garden style, 3-story apartment buildings. They're beautiful buildings, the buildings that we build. All our apartments in all the markets that we are in, we build them and we own them. We don't build them to sell. We own them, we manage them ourselves. And right now we're managing over 2,000 apartments. And all of them are over 97% occupied all the time. We have a very, very good in-house team. We have boots on the ground in each area where we are. So if we, with God's help, if we get to build, with your help, God's help, we get to build this project, we're not just building it and going away. We're going to be here, we're going to build it, we're going to manage it.
Sure.
And we keep all our properties covered and all that. That's more or less about Highgates and about what we do. And I've been watching this market over the years, the whole time, and I really believe that there's a lot of potential for this area, and people are liking it more and more. And I see there's more development going on. I didn't know that before us, someone else is doing a residential project, and that excites me, because when people are willing to invest money in a place like that, that means that it's good. Even though I've done my due diligence and I know the neighboring areas are all, whatever they build, people buy or rent, and I believe that this will be successful. So we designed something that we do every day. So we designed apartments, townhouses, and single-family houses. The single-family houses, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to build the houses itself. I don't build houses, I only build apartments and townhouses. The single-family houses, we're going to sell to local builders or national builders. I don't know yet, but we'll put the infrastructure in. We'll be in charge of designing it, working with the city and everyone to make sure it's done right. We'll be the developers, but we'll sell, like in Louisville, I just now entered a contract with Pulte Homes. It's one of the larger national home builders in the United States. I have with them, I'm on my 3rd deal with them. Between all the 3 deals, it's close to 1,000 houses that we give selling them, and they're building the houses. So this is our expertise. This is what we do well, and we're here to ask your blessing for this project. And maybe I'll let Brent say a few more words about
My name is Brent Hackworth. I am Joseph's Vice President of Construction and Development. They brought me in on this a couple months, about a year, maybe a year ago. Let me know about the area. I took a drive up here, liked it. It was snowing at the time, so I really didn't enjoy that part of it. That was the first time in this area with snow. But just coming in tonight, I didn't realize the population and how fast and what you guys are growing and how it's going. In the presentation, I had spent some time doing some analysis on that stuff, and I will tell you, you can see it firsthand. So congratulations to you guys for seeing that, being proactive. The fact that you all do workshops like this is very good, because that gives us an idea of what you all are looking for. Joseph already touched on it, so did Lawrence, about what we're wanting to do with a mix of single-family townhomes and apartments. We can send the presentation to you, Sheila, and maybe you can disperse it.
Yes, if you send it to me, I will see that the members of the Plan Commission get a copy of it.
Thank you. But as Joseph said, we do all Class A apartments and townhomes. We want to reach out to blue collar folks that are trying to make a living and, you know, give them something that they can be proud of to live in, so.
Just hit some of these highlights, I think that's what.
Yeah, yeah. The site itself, we touched on this the other day in our conversation, but 85 single-family homes are what we've got drawn on there currently, 176 townhomes, and 312 apartments. The 312 are 13 individual buildings. The townhomes, of course, are individual buildings, so are the single family. There is a wetlands area on there that we intend to preserve and to improve the best that we can. On our other projects, we have park settings with walking trails, both, you know, whether it be concrete or mulch, you know, depending on the area and the setting. We do lighting, we do playgrounds for the kids, pickleball courts for folks like me that are getting a little too old to run after a tennis ball, and don't get on the golf course as much as I want, but swimming pool for the apartments and the townhomes. We'll have park settings in all the different areas for that. I think that is, without really the presentation, I think I've hopefully covered some of the points on it. Like I said, everything that we build, Class A type, fits and finishes, you know, granite or boards, countertops, you know, stainless steel appliances, solid flooring, stuff like that.
Are these all rentals?
The apartments and the townhomes at this time, that's what we expect to be, yes.
And what is your going price on a two-bedroom rental?
We haven't got that part of it
Okay.
worked out yet. We will have that information at a later date.
Okay.
It all depends on the market analysis, and we don't have that back yet. We know that traffic is a concern.
Sure.
We've touched on that from day one, and we'll, you know, we wanted to wait, like you said, you know, we wanted to wait and see what your guys' temperature was on this before we started spending a lot of money on market analysis, on traffic studies and stuff like that.
Well, besides the traffic study, do you put elevators in your building?
We don't on anything 3 floors and under.
3 floors and under, no elevators?
Correct. If we go above 3 floors, we will always put that.
Okay, above 3.
Yes, ma'am.
How many floors are you going?
3 is the max.
3?
Mm-hmm.
So no elevator?
No.
Okay, that answers my question. Okay, no, it sounds like a good project. I think it's very interesting. And of course, there's a lot you'll have to look into, as Sean has pointed out, about the I-65 and going down into that property by the cemetery, is what you stated, Sean? Do you want to bring that up again on how you talk
Well,
about?
the couple things that I brought up to Larry and Lawrence and Joseph in our Zoom call with Sheila and Angie, and, you know, I was honest with them, because we went through a lot of discussion
Yeah,
and a lot of hearings, and I brought up the Innsbrook project to these gentlemen. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm still on that. 50-foot by 125-foot lots are not gonna cut it for me. That's number one.
okay.
Number two, the density of the townhome and the density of the apartments are 12.6 dwelling units to the acre and 16 dwelling units to the acre. If you look at our R4 and our R5, if I'm not mistaken, Sheila, our R4 says 7 units to the acre, and R5 says 10 units to the acre. And we modified that, Margie, way back before you got on the council.
Yeah.
David was on the council with me, and we took that, it used to be 10 and 15, and we took it down to 7 and 10. Now, this is gonna be a PUD, but I am really struggling, guys, and I'll be perfectly honest, that's why I wanted you guys to come here tonight. So again, you don't spend a lot of money, as I told you on the Zoom call. I wanna get my colleagues to help me decide, because putting 573 units on 88 acres, the only thing I can equate it to, gentlemen, is you're stuffing a size 13 foot into a size 10 shoe. It's as simple as I can make it. I appreciate it. If you remember, Lawrence, before you bought the property, Earl Goldberg had this, and this was designed to have 95 single-family lots on the entire 86 acres when I first got into office. And Brian, I know you know this personally because your wife's mom and dad live on Carolina Place. I also told the gentleman they're gonna need to sit down with all those residents along Carolina Place and make sure that they're happy, because that is the reason Trammell Crow got turned down. I had to listen to my constituents, and they did not want those big buildings put on that property. So I'm trying to lay all this out for you guys, so you're not gonna, as I told you on the phone, I don't wanna hear, well, Sean, you didn't tell me that. I'm telling you guys right now exactly what my issues are, my concerns are, that I'm gonna have to vote Margie and Leona. These folks are gonna vote on a PUD, but it's gonna come back to the town council for the final approval, and I wanna make sure everybody's comfortable. And quite honestly, I'm gonna rely heavily on Brian, because Brian's been with me through a lot of the wars over his 18 years on the planning commission, so I've probably said enough, Margie. I see these gentlemen are standing up. I've probably upset them, but
Not at all.
that's nothing new, is it?
I actually stood up because I would like to hear.
I wanna hear what my colleagues have to say, yeah.
Well, let's see.
I want to just say one thing. I do this a lot over the years, and I meet with towns and cities,
Sure.
and I always say I want to work together with you guys. I'm not here to push myself in. So I would like to hear what you guys have to say, and hopefully we could work something that we're all happy with.
Margie, I do have one question for Joseph, if I could, or actually any of the,
Sure.
the Hobart development, where is that?
No, we had something in Hobart, Indiana.
Yes.
We sold it years ago already.
What development was that though?
It was like 40 apartments or something like that.
40?
Yeah, this was like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If I could just, maybe just a kind of reaction, talking out loud, some of the points you mentioned. You know, that project, when it was Earl Goldberg's project, it provided for ingress and egress through 69th Street. This project would be through 73rd Street, and that would you know, divert all that traffic from the residential.
We know you have to understand one thing. The only reason it was on 69th Street, and Sean, it's been 20 years now.
But clarification.
Right.
He had entrances on 69th
Right.
and on 72nd.
Right.
And as I told the gentleman, he proposed a traffic signal at 73rd and Virginia to help the traffic flow
Yeah.
on the 99 lots that he was
When Earl
proposing.
had this, the people were fairly happy with it, but it was a long, hard fight. I mean, they wanted the access off of 69th. When they started talking about disturbing anything around the old Merrillville Cemetery, half the town came out like the villagers to Frankenstein's Gate. I mean, they were hot. They do not want that cemetery disturbed in any manner, shape, or form. That's one of the touchstones of the town. And not the least of which the Veterans Memorial is there.
We won't touch that.
Yeah.
We don't
Well, no,
disturb
you
that.
won't touch it, but to widen that road, there isn't much easement between the first headstone and the roadside. I mean, there's just not a lot of room there, and that was the problem with Crow Holdings too. Crow Holdings had a nice program, you know, they wanted to do a great investment, but the access off of 73rd is atrocious, even if you widen the road. You're gonna have a blind spot coming over I-65, you know, as Sean alluded, a size 13 foot and a size 10 shoe. You're gonna have that many apartment buildings there, you're gonna have people, even with a traffic light, you're gonna have people stacked up there, and you're gonna have people flying over that bridge. So,
So the entrance is about 800 feet from the bridge. The other thing I would point out about the neighbors is you'll see the density goes from south to north, and the single-family homes are adjacent to the existing family homes. We would have a nice landscape buffer. You need scale in order to provide some of the amenities that we envision: clubhouse, dog barn.
so you're saying then the apartments will be over by 73rd past the wetlands, then more towards the entrance off of
yes,
73rd?
Right, and closer to I-65. So the density moves from south to north and to the west, adjacent to the single-family homes. That would be where all the new single-family homes are. The other advantage to the there's some drainage issues that I believe this development would improve.
Yeah.
So that's a plus to the neighborhood. The other thing is it's a varied housing stock. I mean, that's what people need. They need different kinds of housing: single-family, townhome, multifamily. This is close to your downtown center. This is not like it's, out, 20 miles from Merrillville. This is close to the bustling activity. And so it serves that population.
A question though, just some nuts and bolts now from construction. Have you done any core samples out there?
I have not seen anything on that
Okay.
yet.
The biggest problem you're gonna run into is the quality of the land itself. When Earl was gonna build, he wasn't building towards that southern area heavy because the land is literally peat. I mean, there's a reason why the farmer that farmed this land for 75, 100 years, he finally quit farming just after the 2000s. He never had to irrigate that land because it is so wet. On the southern portion, I mean, you can see when the leaves fall, when the weeds are gone, you can see standing water when we haven't had a rain. My wife used to walk out there through out to the cemetery when she was a kid. And all of that there, I mean, you can get in up to your knees real quick. It is a very, very wet piece of land. I can only liken it to the piece of land behind Town Hall across Madison Street that they were gonna build a church on. There was so much peat and so much wet property that they were gonna have to put in a 20-foot gravel layer just to build the church on top of it. Otherwise, the church would have sunk. I mean, you're gonna run into some real issues, mostly because when they built I-65, a lot of the detritus ended up in that land, and it just kept getting mowed down over the years as the farmer would farm it, but he did not actually farm all the way up to 73rd because his combines would get stuck in there. I mean, this is gonna be a tough piece of property for you.
Yeah, and as you said, the nuts and bolts, you know, one of the things that we do through the due diligence part and spending the money up front is to go through all that with a geotech to ensure what can be done and how to do that correctly. So we have built on some pretty challenging properties in the past. Sure. If you ever want to go to Dallas and hit down there with their elasticity clay that they have, you know, we have to design those buildings where they'll move up to 6 inches left, right, front, and back. It's kind of like designing a parking garage for those slabs. So where there's a will, there's a way, but
Right.
Absolutely understand, that's just part of the due diligence. That is the next step once we hear what you guys have to say.
Well, and I can only, last thing is echo Sean, I just think that density is not gonna work. I mean, it's gonna be a tough sell here, wait till you hear from your neighbors. I mean,
What's
pretty-
the investment, gentlemen? Did we bring that up in the Zoom call?
We did not.
The total investment on the property?
Tell you now, I take out my calculator and give you a ballpark. It's probably gonna be, without the single-family lots,
Mm-hmm.
just the apartments and the townhouses, we're talking about, something like that. I just want to touch on, if I may, another word about echo what Larry said about where the land is and how close it is to this 30, where all the shops are and it's booming. We just drove in there and it's like, it's amazing how it grew and all that. So this is like really close. It's not like the middle of a subdivision area, the middle of town where we're going to build. This is on the highway, it's on 73rd.
Yeah.
And regarding the density, if you see, I didn't see the previous project, I just heard what they were talking, and it sounds like a great project. But they're on 10 acres and they're getting 200, and they're gonna have 210 apartments. We have 88 acres here, and in the area where we have the apartments, it's much more than 10 acres where we have the apartments. So I don't think the density, again, if you feel that it's too much, we're willing to scale down. Just tell us what you're comfortable with. I'm not here to push. I'm here to see what
Yeah.
we want,
We understand.
because we want to do something. It's
Well,
fair.
that's why I asked Joseph, what's the market point for you guys? Because again, we've got what you heard before, the gentleman after
Right.
Deerfield, Mr. Hall, has got apartments with Redwood. Sheila, is that right?
Yeah, but they're not apartments, they're
Those
like
are the houses, I know Red
fourplex.
Yeah.
They built next to.
I've got Novosello also in my ward that's finishing up, is 276. Now, one of the things that the town did do with that group, with Edward Rose, they have built successfully in town at Berkshire. They had the ability to build, help me out, Sheila, the north side there was R5. With that density and that acreage, they could have put up 475.
Yep.
Again, the residents did not want that. I had to represent my residents. Edward Rose went from 475 to 275. So it begs the question that I need to ponder is, instead of 312, 250, okay? With this lot area that we discussed, again, I have to be fair, because this is over in Leona's area at Innsbrook Country Club, where we really went after, I shouldn't say it that way, we advised that developer that the close proximity, those lots, you know, as we talked about on the phone, our R1 lot is 100 foot of frontage. Is it not, Sheila?
Yes,
And our R2 is 80,
80.
and we're going down to 50. So again, I bring this up to you guys to ponder, because these are the discussions we had when we were reviewing Innsbrook, when we reviewed Randy's stuff at Liberty Estates. You know, I want to be fair, and I hear exactly what you're saying, Joseph. I want to work with you too, but you're coming in, and we've already approved stuff, and people are going to say, well, gee, you made me go through this, Sean, but you're not making Joseph and Lawrence go through this, and you're allowing 50-foot lots.
So,
That's the problem. That's what I struggle with.
So there are no 50-foot lots in Merrillville right now? This would be-
No, I don't believe there's a 50-footer that I'm aware
The
of.
last narrow lots that we built were, actually when Merrillville first became a town, helped me out at 61st.
Barclay Village was in the
Barclay
county.
Village.
And let me tell you,
Barclay Village was
the
built in
place
the
is
county.
junk.
And that was a disaster.
Yeah.
It was an
So
utter
what's-
disaster. People literally
what
park in
are
their
people
yards.
building
Are there
now?
residential developments adjacent to the highway?
I'm sorry, no.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
we're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
this
know,
was,
is it-
this was the last time that I can think of that Merrillville had lots that narrow.
So what are the sizes?
But to answer Lawrence's question,
Right.
to the best of my knowledge, Lawrence, from 53rd Avenue to 101st, which is our boundary, no, there's not residential up against I-65.
So this is unique.
Well, I suppose it is.
What are the size lots that are being approved in the last few years here in Merrillville?
What was Innsbrook, Sheila, 60?
Did they go 60?
That was the
That was the
smallest, was
smallest.
60.
And that was adjacent to
I'm
a
willing
golf
to go down to
course.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do 60, I have no problem. I just want you to know that I'm putting in around 1,000 lots right now in Louisville, Kentucky, and none of them are more than 50. I have 50s and 40s, and that's the norm. In Texas, next to my development, I'm not doing any single family, I'm doing apartments. Next to it, they're all 50s. But if you want 60s, I'm fine with that.
I could tell you, Joseph, to quote my 87-year-old mother, I don't care what the other kids are doing.
Yeah.
I care about what's happening in
Yeah.
Merrillville.
I'm just sharing you what's the norm.
The norm is, again, we went down to 60 for the Innsbrook development over in
Okay,
Leona's
I'm
ward.
willing to go down to 60, I'll lose a few lots, no
Yeah.
problem.
Let's go back to one basic premise here. Read the preamble of our PUD ordinance. A PUD shall only be granted when there is a demonstrable benefit to the town, never the developer. And I can only say it like that. If you want to sell this, you're going to have to show us and the residents a demonstrable benefit to us, not to you. And I just have
And
to
I
put
think
it that way.
I think the benefit would be, as much as you are growing, the added homes and the variety of those homes that we
Newer
would.
houses.
A lot of,
Yeah, and
People
the
want to
numbers
live in newer homes.
Now, here's the other thing that we need to consider, or Leona, you and Margie and I, as RDC, I'll bring this back up, is the road situation. Now, I've gone out and I've asked our financial advisor, we use London Whitty out of Indianapolis, Bob Swenson's been doing our work for 20-plus years. Bond counsel is Barnes and Thornburg. And I asked Bob about how do we handle the road project, Margie and Leona, and obviously we're gonna have to do a bond issue.
Yeah.
But they're saying that, Bob is saying, I would not necessarily do an allocation area on their project. So that means that the debt service is gonna probably come off of Matt Cruz's stuff on the southeast corner with the industrial building. So what I want to put out there now, gentlemen, is not only if this is approved in some configuration, what type of financial consideration are you willing to give the town, because you're impacting the traffic basically you're impacting the traffic on the whole corridor. I'm sure your study's going to show it. I guess what I'm asking you, and I can put it out there for now, would you be willing to participate financially in the widening of 73rd Avenue between Virginia and the bridge to the tune of probably $1.5 million, give or take? You should pay.
1.5?
Yes.
Well, part of the 1.5.
No,
No, it's gonna be 10.
your traffic is coming out there now. It's gonna come out onto that section. You're going to increase the traffic. So we need to come up with something, because it's not fair to go to the industrial developer on the southeast quadrant and say, you gotta foot the bill for the whole $10 million. So we need some type of, I don't know, Steve, how did we handle 101st Avenue? Did Ameriplex pay for some of that?
I don't think, I think back when we widened that, I don't think Ameriplex paid for any of it. That was all widened to the south. The north line stayed the same, the Ameriplex side.
All right.
That was widened to the south, to the Crown Point side.
We're willing to participate.
Okay.
I think.
I mean, we've asked people, our developers in the past, Joseph, for traffic signals for, when Meyer came into town, they paid for one of the traffic signals on US 30. I think it was either the Merrillville Road one or the one by Art Hill. They put in $250,000 for a new traffic signal, so.
We're willing to participate, but I think 1.5 is a very, very high.
Well, we would have to get the numbers, yeah.
I'm clearly willing to participate. Maybe
Yeah.
after we do the traffic study and we
Sure.
see what the impact is, and we'll take all that in consideration. We'll also look at what, if we build this and it does well, it's gonna be very good for the city as well. You asked about, it's gonna bring in a lot of real estate taxes.
Sure.
And Larry touched on a very good point. We need new housing. People wanna live in new houses if they can, and we're willing to do that and provide that. There's a lot of risk to build these projects. It's
Sure.
not like we're for sure hitting a home run here, you know that. I mean, we're gonna try our best, but we are willing to participate.
Right.
Good.
think that-
But I do want you guys to understand the lay of the land, because again, the 7 of us, here, either at the planning commission or at the council, we're not dictating the market. The market is gonna dictate how much you need to build,
Yeah.
how much Jeff has to build, how much Randy has to build. Randy's got a huge amount of acreage over in Margie's ward, 200 acres,
And he has
that is single
apartments.
family. I've got 275 in my ward with Novo Flats. Rick Bella has got 476 luxury apartments that hasn't even broken ground at 93rd and Taft. So long as you guys understand that, you know, as I've talked with Council President Bella, the market's gonna dictate the saturation point. We're probably going to continue, you know, you're basically third in line, so to speak. But we've got these developments on the books that we've approved in previous years that, you know, I don't know why I have that kind of memory, but, you know, we can rattle off. You know, Leona's got 264 units at Innsbrook. I've got Novo Flats. We've got Don Weiss. We've got Randy Hall. We've got Jeff Band. Now we've got you guys. You know, again, I guess, you know, again, I think the market dictates it. I don't know, Brian. I mean,
It's obvious that you all are growing. I mean,
Yeah.
obvious.
Sure.
I lived in Lexington, Kentucky, and I watched that growth back before the boom.
Yeah.
I moved to Louisville, Kentucky when my wife got pregnant and said, we're moving for mom. So, we moved to Louisville, and Louisville has done that to where we basically are out of land inside the county, and we're going into other markets. So I've seen this in 2 different markets, and it sounds like you guys are prepared for it, and you're looking at it the right way. But with that development with that growth brings development of roads and the infrastructure
Sure.
and all those
Yeah.
things that the
Well, you know,
tax
and you
base will
mentioned
bring.
too, bringing in new homes, new development, that's a good thing. You're also bordering up against a subdivision or an area that affectionately was known as Skinner's Pond for many years, because old farmer Skinner's Pond is right in the middle of it.
Right.
I'd say at least half of those people in the 50s grab the hammer and the nails and the ladders, and they built their own homes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and so
So did
you've
my
got,
father, and
you've
I
got
was his labor guy.
an area that's, gonna be a tough sell.
The other thing you're gonna find, when you go to do your soils and is one problem that Earl had was, and Steve, you can help me with, there were a lot of farm tiles. There's a lot of clay tiles on that
Right.
property that you guys are gonna run into
He
that,
was gonna have to do, some ground, get a guy out there with ground penetrating
Sure.
radar to find them all.
Find them all, yeah.
Because if you start busting
But
up those
I know
tiles.
that he put in already some of the infrastructure.
yeah, he
Sure.
started, Joseph,
Up by the
off of 69th, there was
off of
pipes.
69th. Now, do you plan on having an exit onto 69th? Because that's gonna be, even though your main exit or entrance will be out on 73rd, you're gonna have people cutting through that subdivision to get in and out of there. And if you start telling those folks, yeah, we're gonna have, 250 more sets of cars or 500 more cars blasting through your subdivision, that's, again.
That brings up a good point that
Right
we're
past the
gonna,
high school.
Sheila, Steve, make a note of that. We're gonna have to talk to Ed about that, because I will tell you guys a personal story. My subdivision I live in the first subdivision, what's affectionately called the Panhandle in the Preserve. We have one entrance on Mississippi Street for 85th, and I have 120 houses out there. And God forbid we ever had any problems in there. I've tried to tell my neighbors, do not park on both sides of the street, because if we gotta bring a fire truck or an ambulance, there's only one way to get in and one way to get out. And that's an excellent point, Brian. If there's an emergency and it gets blocked at the front and people can't get to their houses because something has happened with a fire truck or an ambulance, we may need that secondary access of 69.
At least for emergency.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's,
Could be an
yeah, but that's
Could be.
gonna be where the tough sell's gonna be, because people tend, if they're not going to turn out, you mentioned going to the amenities, down Mississippi, out to 30, and that, if they plan on going north, they're not gonna come out onto 73rd and go to Broadway, they're gonna zip through that subdivision, go
69th
right
to
past.
Delaware.
Yeah, right
Right.
past the entrance to the high school that
Sure.
stacks up
68th.
every afternoon with buses.
We try to make that only an
Yeah.
emergency.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
We have a traffic engineer, we're lined up to do a traffic study, assuming we have, sufficient support, but I'm thinking that this, Crow is doing something with the road, so the study would have to kind of coordinate or take into account whatever they're doing.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, his tenants in the two buildings, Lawrence, I think are probably gonna use the main entrance that's cut off of Mississippi, so they can go north and south. He does have an entrance, and I don't know if it's a right-in, right-out only. Is it, Steve?
It is.
It's a right-in, right-out only on 73rd Avenue that they're relocating, that they needed a secondary access as well. So I don't think that development is gonna generate, as much truck traffic. Truckers are not gonna go down 3-lane 73rd Avenue west to get to Broadway. I don't see it. I mean, that would be something your traffic engineer is gonna have to analyze and see. And the unfortunate thing for you guys is, right now, Matt doesn't have tenants for the two buildings. So we don't know what kind of, he built a 1 million square foot building, and he sends me a text message on a Friday night and says, hey, I got a lease signed by Amazon, and now we got trucks going up and down Mississippi literally every 3 to 5 minutes. From their place all the way up to 30, and then they're hitting I-65. It's one of those PPO4s that Amazon operates. So the truck traffic has increased tremendously. These two new buildings, I have no idea who's gonna be in there. I have no idea what kind of traffic it's gonna entail. But, when you're talking about over 500 dwelling units, that's pretty substantial. And, in this day and age, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, your traffic engineer could probably tell us, if you take the 573 units and 2 cars, that's 1,146 cars in that development potentially at some time now. I don't know if everybody has 2 cars. I'm sure there's statistics that they'll do that. Yeah. They'll do that, yeah.
Let me make it easy, okay? I hope Larry won't hit me when I leave here.
He's not gonna hit you.
I think, I heard what you said, I heard what Brian said, and how about if we come back next time, but let's talk about it now, but that we do 60-foot lots instead of 50. and we bring the apartments down to, you said 250.
That would be 72 less than you're proposing.
Okay. We go down to 250
Okay.
instead of 312, I think.
Yep.
And we leave the townhouses the way they are.
Yeah.
The townhouses are anyways,
And what I would suggest, Joseph, when you, I mean, find out how long it's gonna take for your traffic study based
Yeah.
on these modifications, and let's see what they say about that as well.
what
You
the
know.
traffic study.
Yeah, what the traffic study is gonna show us.
Are you
And
guys comfortable with this change?
Well, when we hear it, right now, you're looking at a change to 60-foot lots. The road situation will be studied with your traffic engineer. You want to scale down on your units, correct?
Yep.
And I'd love to see 75 million come into Merrillville.
I would too.
If it's done the right way, and we could sit down and talk, and we have very experienced people here that will deal with you, and I'm sure you will love to come back and let's all talk about it.
I just want you to know, I didn't mention this before.
What?
If you go online and look at our buildings that we build, they're all finished really high-end. They're not, a
Well,
lot of
I've been
brick,
to
a lot of
Dallas.
stone.
My cousins live in Dallas. Can you tell me where those buildings are that you,
They're in Princeton, Texas. It's like
Oh,
45
Princeton.
minutes away
okay,
from Dallas.
all right,
And then Louisville, Des Moines, I don't have anything in this area.
no.
But you could go online, or I could send you some live pictures.
We'll send Sheila the link. so-
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheila will take everything and give it to us. And maybe when we have another workshop, if you are ready with your traffic study and all, then you could come to our workshop, our next
I just want
workshop.
to show you something.
Sure.
They didn't mention it. We have these fountains. Every time we wait to put a pond, we put in a pond.
Oh, yeah,
Playgrounds for children.
sure.
Everything is done to the highest level.
No, it looks beautiful. I have to say that much.
You know,
And we want parks,
right, and
Yeah.
that's part of our ordinance.
right.
The density, you know, and that's, the hardest
Here,
sell is
that's
gonna
it.
be, you know, we've got 7 units per acre and 10 units per acre is our current standard, which is, Sean said, we downgraded it years ago when we broke up, the duplexes into their own, you know,
Yeah,
basically.
their own category.
Their own category.
Usually those, again, I'm not trying to challenge. I'm just saying usually those type of is in the middle of the city where it's all residential and all that. This, we're talking here, it's on the highway, it's on the main road, it's near the high school, there's a need for it.
Sure.
If I wouldn't feel that there's a need, I wouldn't want to take such a big risk.
Actually, Lawrence, I owe you an apology. Because I told you there were nothing, there's no residential on I-65. There actually is. There are townhomes north of 57th where Mississippi up by Isaac Walton. There's the duplexes on the
Yeah.
east side of I-65.
Then you got some off of.
That's between Hobart and Merrillville. Yeah, between Hobart and Merrillville. But I think you guys are doing a good job with a little bit of study with your
Yeah,
traffic
that's Glenwood
engineer.
Manor.
Try to get it together and come back for
Yeah.
when you're ready for another workshop. Let Sheila know,
Always welcome.
because you're
Yeah.
more than welcome to bring 75 million in.
And I'll tell you guys, I do want this developed. I was very, when I first got on the council in 2004, I was very disheartened when Earl, you know, that was when the economy went south on us in 8,
Right.
9, or whenever that was. And I was disheartened because he had 99 lots. He had $350,000 homes on those 99 lots. And I was like, yeah, this is great. And I knew, you know, my friend Brian, his in-laws were back there and the people on Carolina Place. It's kind of it's a different area because you butt up against the high school, you got the interstate, but then you've got those homes on the west side. I think we can work through it. I think we can work through it.
Plus you have the mall south of where you're building.
Yeah.
And people love that. They have the mall, the restaurants, Route 30, everything is adjacent to what you're building. And me looking at it, if I were to move into one of those units, I would think, hey, I could jump in my car and go to the mall Go to a restaurant,
Go to Meyer.
Meyer, everything is close by, so,
I see Margie at Meyer all the time.
yeah, I go to Meyer.
I just want to touch on one more point that you guys mentioned about the neighbors. Every development I develop, there's always an issue with the neighbors. They don't want, well, what do they need it for?
They want to look out on their backyard.
They don't remember when they built, their neighbors didn't want them either.
Yep.
So there's always development that
Always,
happens.
yeah.
As long as you build something nice, and especially that these 60-foot lots, not 50, 60,
Yep.
will be adjacent to them, so that it's just gonna grow, that, it's not that we're putting the apartments on top of their head. We have that buffer between their houses and their apartments, those 60-foot lots.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
While you gave a good presentation,
Set up this
get it together and let Sheila know when you're ready for a workshop. And we'll go over
Toronto
everything
should have won that
we
World
discussed.
Series, so. I was watching, I'm a Cubs fan, but
My son
Toronto
is-
should have won that
My
World
son is still in bed since.
I like when the Cubs lost in '03 with Bartman, I'm still upset about it.
Of all the cities that we develop in and we've gone through, I think you're all set up here tonight and how you do this is amazing.
Thank you.
Well, we have grown in
Oh,
population.
it helps us learn from the beginning.
Absolutely.
20 years ago, we were like 20,000.
Yep.
Now we're close to 40,000, if not more.
The last number I saw yesterday when I was looking at was 37,962.
Yep.
Went up
Okay,
about
close to 40.
2,000.
But, as you talked about where everybody wants to go, that daytime population is over 100,000. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, we have close to 100,000 people in town, working and traveling, yeah.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Safe travels, thank you.
Thank you, Joe and company, and come back. Okay.
All right,
Oh, well.
all right, Margaret,
Yes, John.
Madam President.
All I'm looking at is 73 million coming into town. And I'm sure we could work it out.
We will.
75.
Or
Always do.
75.
We
Oh, well,
always
by
do.
the time they work it out, it might be 85. Money is what counts. You know what, that is some valuable land there too.
Yep.
Very valuable.
And I think
If it's
the
done the right
biggest,
way.
that's it, and the biggest ace in the hole that they've got on this is, would you rather look at that, or would you rather look at pro homes?
Yeah.
Because then they're just gonna look at a big slab wall.
Well, you and John both brought up a very good point. You brought up a very good point. I drive that road every day.
Well, and especially, we're gonna spend $10 million to widen 73rd.
Sure.
You've gotta be able to justify that. Yeah, Crow Holdings is